Gasket seals, unlike the last full assembly I got for the Kia. I don't know if I have enough room to slide the tank out, but that's easy enough. It's gonna let itself down. It's gonna take something from here. I just gotta figure out what. That one. Alright, well, there's gonna be a halfway point. As I mentioned in the last video, I managed to injure myself. I'm just finally healed up enough. I'm not walking with a cane. So, the tank is out. Had to fight with this plug. We couldn't get video of it. So now I'm going to have to figure out how to get this plug to stay plugged. This is your pressure sensor. So, and I have capped everything, put towels, and, butyl and stuff, because I'm having to clean all this. Ended up with a lot of flaky rust, and it's still solid, but if I don't do something about it, it won't be solid in a few years. So I've started cleaning and degreasing. I've got to sand and degrease again, clean it again, and then paint it. I got some rust stabilizer primer that's supposed to stabilize and stop it from rusting more. I'll spray it down with that, then spray a coat of automotive, supposed to be gasoline resistant paint, and then I'll finish changing the pump assembly and put it back in the truck.
Yeah,
but that's going to be a later video. Probably going to be a week or so before I can get to that, so we'll have that video up once it's done, and I don't know what will be in between. Well, I'm trying to get this all cleaned up. I've got the rust sanded down best I can, all the scales scraped off best I can. I'm going to sand it, clean it, degrease it again, using steel wool to try to get more off. Then I'll put the rust stop primer on it, and I've got new rubber to replace these rotten ones and put it back together. Doing all this should stabilize it, but you can see, especially on this part, the steel used to all be up to here on this part. This is where it was rusted the worst. But see how easily that moves? It's not all the way gone, but there's no way I can replace that sensor. And next time this comes down, it's probably gonna have to be replaced. But stabilize it. It's not so far you can stick a finger through it anywhere. It's not leaking anywhere, so it's still good for now. Hopefully this will get another 10 years out of it. So by that time, I'll worry about getting another tank. There's a rock in there I wish would come out. I'm going to clean this tank out too, so but I still don't want much to get. I don't want anything getting in it. And I got new rubber lines. These are all rotten, which was really expensive because I can't get sizing. So I had to buy expensive stuff because everything else is not available. Now for the green steel wool. Like I said, if you wanted to do this for good, make it last again forever, you would sandblast all this, take it all off, take it apart, clean it. In my opinion, it'd be better just get a new tank, because you can still get these new tanks, and I may do that. But right now, I don't have that option.
so if you don't have that option,
Oh
like
yeah,
us,
you should be wearing gloves.
Yeah.
Don't do as I'm doing.
So after you get it sanded, you got it sanded, you're getting it washed. After you get all that done, what are you doing next?
Oh, then I am going to paint it with rust stop primer, which any rust is still here, it should react with the iron oxide and stabilize it, neutralize it so it doesn't rust anymore, and seal it so it won't get anything in to pop it up. And it's not perfect by any means, but it does help. It can greatly extend the life of something that's rusting.
Okay, this is the finished product. We've got it washed. All that really needs to happen now is for it to dry and then painting. Drying's going to take about a couple days or so. After it gets painted, don't forget the original part of this project, replacing this guy. That's what caused all of this to happen.
All right, well, got the tank in, getting ready. We've gone through it, cleaned it, found a spot where there's actually a hole rusted through the top of the tank. So we've taken the bolts off. I'm going to pull the pump assembly and see if the inside of the tank's rotten out. So I may have to get a new tank. If I can get it to release.
Does your new pump have a gasket with it like that?
Yeah.
Well, at least where the thing fits in the tank is not rusted.
Yeah. Get to that. There we go.
There's the gory details there.
Actually, it's not too horrible. Move that out of the way.
I think there's plastic lining inside the tank somehow.
No, that's a basin. It's got a plastic basin the pump sits in.
There's some schmoo in there.
I got this thing clamped down pretty tight. Pretty tight. Huh?
Plump.
And that's what the inside of the tank looks
It's okay
like.
over there.
Yep.
What about this end?
I got that in decently. I gotta move over here. Yep, you can see it from the inside.
One little dot.
I see daylight.
The inside looks rust-free for the most part.
Yep. The only spot of rust on the inside is where it's rusted through, which is over here somewhere. That spot where it's rusted through at.
Can't
Right
really.
there.
Right there.
Well, just cleaning it up some, and that it seems to be the only rust on the inside. The inside looks pretty good. I've got not an ideal fix for it, but I'll still paint it with the rust stop, and then I will use some butyl, which is the same material that's sitting here on top of the tank, but I've got some newer butyl. I'll use some of it over the top once I painted it to fill that hole, and I'll actually probably just fill this whole seam. And then, I'll do this, I'll probably flex seal over the whole top. And it's not an ideal fix, but it should get a couple more years out of this tank. After going over this and looking at what it's going to cost, I am going to go ahead and paint it, fix it, put a new pump in it, try to make it last another year. I've got this stuff that I've used to seal off gaskets and fuel tanks before. This stuff I've had good luck with. I will use it after I put a coat of paint. I'll use this to seal this spot. And then I will probably go back and put, I'm going to put Flex Seal over it. Even though I don't know if Flex Seal will do anything, just to add an extra coat of rubbering to kind of protect it. And maybe help seal if it does start leaking. And I may go ahead and put butyl over this and over this, these seams, because this is where here and here and here is where it's getting really thin. So, and try to get a couple more years out of this tank before I replace the whole tank. I'm tempted to see if I can, I wonder if I can replace this tank with a bigger tank.
Could you show off what you're using, please, just in case?
Oh, yeah.
For the...
It's Rust-Oleum. I had bought, this is all in one. I had bought primer and enamel heavy duty paint. I can't find it, so I'm going back to just using Rust-Oleum I had, black glossy. So, and I'm kind of glad I'm not wasting the extra paint on this now that I've looked at it more.
Gee, Krazy Karl, why did you lose it?
Because everything's in disorder.
Gee, Krazy Karl, why is everything in disorder? I was saying that you should have put a little, stuck your hand in there inside the where the fuel pump is to attach a little thing to the inside of the hole, a piece of that glue, so none of the spray got inside the tank.
I'm not I'm not that worried about that. That gas is all going to be dumped out. I'm going to clean the inside of the tank good still. And I know I've got some bleeding and whatever. I don't care. It's a junk tank. It's hard to get this butyl. Ideally, if this tank was really worth it, I might pull that butyl off and fix that. But this tank's pretty close to gone.
This is the channel of not how to restore things, but
how to keep something going until you can get money to fix it right.
Yes. That's been the theme here.
Like I said, I'm a junk mechanic. I managed to keep junk going.
You know, people are actually using that term right now, and they're talking when they say junk mechanic, they mean they go into junkyards and fix something and drive it out.
Ah. I just keep stuff from going to the junkyard.
So you're kind of like a reverse junk mechanic.
Yeah, let that dry and then put another coat on. Right. Got the first coat on. I was heavy with it. You'll see in the fast forward, that's not the way to get a clean paint coat, but I'm trying to get a good seal coat. And there's spots where it was hard to get into, so there's some bleeding, there's some heavy, but it's a good heavy first coat to try to make a seal. And of all crazy things, I think the paint sealed the hole, but I'm still going to put sealant over it. I'm actually probably going to use that seal stuff in these seams instead of the butyl. And it'll give another layer of coat over it. Then I'll do flex seal over that. Alright, so now we do coat 2. I'm going to start. And I have this turned so that I'm not getting any spray in the bolts. So, there won't be any problem there. one thing I will make mention on, I was looking at new tanks. If you've got to do new tanks, most of them didn't list coming with these strips of butyl. You need these because this is where the tank may rub against the frame members. And if you don't have something in between them to protect it, it can rub a hole in the tank. Also do damage to your frame. So you need to make sure that if you get a new tank, you get some of these things and put them on. Put back on so paint's not getting in the tank, and I've rotated it so that the holes are not lined up. That way any paint won't get in there and cause any kinds of problems with it not wanting to tighten right. So
okay. And now we wait for this to cure for a day, and then we'll be back on it. And
this was second coat, so it's got to cure for 24 hours. Then I'll put the sealant on the hole, and I'll probably go on as sealing along this ridge, and this ridge, and around this where the rust is the worst, and where the taint's gotten the thinnest, just as a extra layer. And then that has to cure 24 hours. Then I'll put a coat of Flex Seal probably over the whole thing, and just as an extra protection. And I may actually do that after I've changed that out. That way it'll also give a little bit of extra protection where it's touching. So,
and then that's going to cure 1 to 2 days.
Then that's got to cure, but that's probably not going to make a difference because probably won't have time to get under the truck and put it up anyways at that point. Luckily, this stuff, today's was pretty intensive, but I can move this over back to where I had it stored and do the sealant, and then put the pump assembly in, make sure the wiring all matches up right, and then worry about, clean it out, then do that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff to do. That's part of why it's got to cure so long. The paint's really got to cure, and the sealant needs to cure, is the fact that I am going to take there's probably 2 gallons of gas in it still, and I'm going to use that to try to clean out the tank as best I can so that any sediment in the tank doesn't get sucked into the new pump. Alright, well now I'm going to seal. We got a nice paint job. It's nice and clean. I'm going to seal this hole, and I'm also going to spread sealant along these edges where it's starting to fail, and around this, so that I can get a little more life out of this tank. I'm doing it with gloves because I've gotten this stuff on my fingers before. It takes forever to get off, and I am going to push it down into the hole some. And I'm going to be generous with it. And I never claim this is going to be a pretty repair. And then I'm going to just paint it with it, so that it's got a layer of sealant over the metal where it's starting to run thin. Here, where I had the thin spot, I was going to say you might want lights, camera in action on this one, because it's kind of a dark corner back here. This one, it was actually more on this side that it was getting really thin. Okay. Put some along this seam. And then around this sensor, which I know this is going to make the sensor will come out, but to tell you the truth, the sensor's not going to come out anyways. I think it's stronger than the fuel can around it now, so It's just trying to make sure this stays sealed after I pulled all that scale away. And I've got the end taped off, which this is going to be interesting on its own because the little lock cap broke on it. So I have no idea what's going to happen with it. On there. So it's going to be interesting getting that wire to stay on. And then some here. And then that'll be sufficient for now. And wipe it off best I can, close it up. Kind of move it forward in the tube. And then I've got enough if I need to reseal that. But I'm going to let this cure good. And then I will remove the old hoses and pump assembly and clean it out with the fuel in it. Get that emptied out, then put the assembly in, the new assembly in. Then I will do a quick coat of Flex Seal rubberizer over the top of this to help protect the sealant. And then we should be ready to go in. So hopefully I'll have a truck by this weekend. So long.